G'day everyone, it's Curtis here and welcome to an On The BackWheel video. Today I'm going to talk about how the Gen 3 KLR650 fares in a crash. Now I'm in the unfortunate or fortunate position, depending how you put it, where I have crashed my KLR650 multiple times. Now I've modified the bike, I've got some crash protection and other things on. I thought it'd be a good opportunity to talk about how it crashes, how it handles a crash. The kind of riding I've been doing is more your harder enduro style riding, which the KLR frankly isn't designed for, but it kind of makes me qualified to talk about it. And I have crashed it multiple times, probably into the dozens now. I have dropped it at least. And I've also had to pick it up, drag it around, scrape it out of positions, pick it up off rocks and everything. So I've definitely ridden it to its capabilities. Now I have installed some crash protection. I thought it'd be a great opportunity to talk about how it fares without crash protection and with crash protection. So bear in mind, all this damage was achieved before I had crash bars on, and some of it was also before I had a skid plate and upgraded handlebars. Now, the first thing that's going to go is the handlebars. These are the stock handlebars. I have them off the bike. They bent extremely easily. They just don't last. They're kind of that softer steel. They just bend. You can see here the shape of it. Yeah, they just absolutely bend, and that's with me bending them back with a pole as well. I think they are junk, pretty much. They are great for road riding. If you're doing road riding and like cruising, they are perfect, but as soon as you go off-road, these are the weakest link on the motorcycle and they break quite easily. The next thing to go are these hand guards. They are, I just call them wind deflectors really. They're not designed to take any damage or any pressure on them. These ones just broke off. The other one snapped off completely. It was flapping around like crazy, so I had to pull it off mid-ride. Whereas this one, I ended up pulling it off when I did the bars. So now I have these Pro Taper ATV high bands on and a set of bark busters. I have tested the absolute piss out of these so far. These are fantastic. Both of them are fantastic and will last in a crash. With these, when you crash, on the new KLRs, underneath here is rubber mounted. The bars will bend in their position, twist, before anything else happens, which is good. It means, you know, the bars are extremely strong, but also there's a little bit of give there, so you're not going to get any damage. I had it in a ride where I was riding along. I was like, gee, this is crooked. What's going on here? So I just banged it against a tree, the front wheel, and straightened it all out. Plastics wise, it's pretty scratched up, but the rear stuff is really tough. All of this is tough. This is steel, so you're not going to have any issues with that unless you're doing something crazy. Up the back, unfortunately, you can see this bit of plastic here. If we come around to here, that's where that's supposed to go. It's supposed to go on there. It's supposed to be screwed on. I had a crash where I fell down a little ditch. It wasn't really even a crash, it's a slow speed kind of off. And this hit some rocks. Now if we look closely, see that? It's broken there. If we come around to here, it's broken a lot. So that's something I'm going to have to look into getting replaced. These rear taillights, they have great flexibility. I like that, but this broke really easy with quite a soft off. So I wasn't happy about that. And they're not that cheap to replace if you want genuine ones. So I may look into getting some eBay ones or something down the track. These stock mirrors are quite tough and durable, but they get in the way all the time. So I've replaced them with these cheap folding mirrors. I recommend everyone else replace them at least with these cheap eBay style mirrors or double takes or Touratechs or something like that. A point of concern for the new KLR650 when it released was they did a one-piece subframe, so it's all welded now. I've had some really good offs and I have not had an issue with that at all. And if you do, I think you have other concerns by bending your frame or subframe, because you're going to be extremely injured because this frame is tough. It's all this solid steel. It's really strong. The KLR is built like a tank in that regard. They have skimped on some parts, you know, the handlebars, a couple of things I'll get to, but the frame is not one of those things. It's part of the reason why the KLR is so heavy is because everything's just that solid kind of steel. The rear rack No issues at all with this. There's a couple of scuffs and scratches if we come around the back here. I've had some pretty serious os where this thing takes a lot of damage. No issues, not bent at all. You know, all the rails and stuff are really tough as well. I'm very happy with that. I'm really happy with that. Everything else on the side is done quite well, except, yeah, this is before I had any protection. The engine casing got some scratches from some rocks and stuff. I don't think that's going to happen in the future. Now I've got these crash bars on and also this really good skid plate. Everything here is tucked out of the way. I'm happy with that. You know, the rear brake pedal hasn't gotten bent or anything. I'm very happy with that. And if we come back here, we've got our kind of like brake snake here. People are worried about this design. You can see it kind of pokes out at the back here. It is a bit of a strange design, I will admit. It'd be good if they had like an L bracket that just came boom, boom, down and then through there. But I haven't had any issues. It hasn't caught on anything. The kind of riding I've been doing. You can see here we're getting some like marks from the red dirt and stuff, and just scratches in general, but that's part and parcel. Right, Chook, you're a bit noisy. Coming around this side of the bike, this plastic fairing is much the same. It's very tough, and this is tough as well. One thing that isn't too tough, if we have a look at my shift lever, you can see it's actually quite bent. Now, you can easily bend this back. You can see the front tab. I can just whack that back or bend it back to shape a bit and it wouldn't be on the angle. But, as you may or may not be aware, the KLR650 has a very short shift lever. So when you're wearing boots, it makes it hard to get your foot under and change gears. Now it's bent a little bit. I haven't had those issues yet. So I've kind of just left it like that. In the future, I may get an extended shift lever like most people do, but I've only got like a size 9, which is like a 43 boot, and haven't had any issues when it's bent like that. If it wasn't, you might have some issues. Now, coming around to the front, this is where I do have some kind of concerns with the KLR. The lower fairing, it's hard to see. Now I've got these crash bars on. I haven't had a chance to test these yet, but they seem like fantastic quality. If we come down here, this is kind of where the bike lands when you crash, is on this lower part of the fairing down here. You can see I've scratched there, and then it also lands on this part here. So your bars take the hit here and down here. This should alleviate any issues. Got some more scratches here too I have with that, because this is going to take it and then it's not going to hit there, and the top of the bar is going to take it. If I come around to this side, you can see that this side has not fared anywhere near as well. This is cracked, this cover here, behind here, the fairing is also cracked. I'll try to get the angle there for you guys. We've got scratches all down here, and this is very common. I've seen the fairing breaks here. Jeez, these chooks are loud. I might try and go and feed them to get them away from me. There, I've distracted them. I know I'm doing a different style of riding, but this fairing comes quite far down. And if we come down to here, you can see I'm missing something. There's nowhere to screw it to anymore. This is a metal bracket. It appears like that's still square. But then if we come down here, it's hard to see now I've got the crash bars on. You see it bent back further than it should be. Now that is the post where it's hard to see. I'll get my finger up here. This is my finger. It's all the way back there. That is bent a couple of inches away from where it needs to be now. It's all the way back here. And that's where everything goes into. So it's broken all the plastic. So that's just stuff. That whole side needs to be replaced. But it's also bent back this section, so it's got nothing to actually attach it to. If we come on the inside here, see, this is all quite loose. One of the tabs, that's just come a bit out, but it's also very loose. So I'm going to have to reattach that somehow. Come down here. See, this isn't square anymore. These are supposed to attach to each other, like that. And you can see that tab I was talking about there. Now it's not where it needs to be. So I'll have to look into that. I think it's quite bent in this section here. See, these sections are supposed to join together. Yeah, the plastic behind here is broken, so it doesn't screw to anything now. It's all still really solid, don't get me wrong, like it's very solid. But yeah, Not really happy with how this lasts, but in saying that, I was doing stuff you probably shouldn't be doing and came off. Now I've got crash bars. Oh, you wait, baby, you wait. If we come up here, you can see I was going through some pretty heavy lantana and stuff recently, and it scuffs up this black plastic pretty well. Same with the front guard. The front guard's not too bad. This has been quite tough. I'm happy with that. You do have to make sure from factory, I think their dealer assembly is like getting the bike out of the crate and giving it to you. So make sure your bolts here are tight because they do come loose. I'm going to show you something I noticed recently, and it's when I went to install my windscreen risers. Let's get on the bike. Let's square it up. Now bear in mind, this has horizon leveling my GoPro, so this is technically meant to be flat. So look at this. This is a 90-degree angle. Can you notice anything? This side is lower. The right-hand side is lower than the left-hand side. If you look here, see there and there. I thought initially it's like, oh, my windscreen risers must be different. No, they are the exact right size they're supposed to be. They're exactly identical. They're just opposites. So this left side is higher than this right side. And I noticed that when my phone is installed on the mount here, everything is square. The phone is also on an angle as well. So somewhere along the way, this section has become bent. All the steel here, I think this whole front end is just slightly kinked. And if you come down to here, this bar looks like it's slightly bent to the left as well. Now, I dare say when I crashed, I fell on that side and just all the weight, boom, on everything. It's twisted down there and it just kind of worked its way up. You can see here as well, this isn't square anymore. This is supposed to look like that. That's supposed to have that clip that goes through and holds everything together. I don't have that anymore. So if I push it right over, nah, you can't even really see it anymore. I used to be able to it was just like it had a missing clip. Now it looks like it's definitely missing. And look how much difference the gaps are here. There and there. They're the big concerns I have with a crash, and I'm actually debating claiming insurance, seeing if I can get everything fixed up. Now I've got all the crash protection, everything. I can just pay the money, get it all fixed up, then I put the crash protection back on, and just be a bit more wary in the future that this is kind of an adventure bike now. It's like a dual sport, definitely, but it's more an adventure bike nowadays, the KLR, and doing the stuff I was doing, there's going to be consequences for your bike. And you can see it's just a bit twisted and there's damage around. Or just don't come off. Get better tires, don't come off. So crash protection wise, I've installed this SRC headlight protector, the SRC crash bars and SRC skid plate. You definitely need a skid plate on this. Like 1,000,000 kajillion %. Because that sump bolt sticks out a little bit and it's completely just hanging in the breeze with that other skid plate. So here's the stock skid plate. Here's an SW Motec skid plate from a Gen 2, which is exactly the same, by the way. So look at the difference in length. This doesn't cover the back of the engine. It only stops at about here. So you've got all this rest of your engine and everything exposed. Whereas this, and especially the SRC, go back that bit further, and here's where your sump comes out, your sump drain bolt. So while I've damaged plastics and stuff, you know, that's not ideal. If you catch that sump bolt on a rock or when you crash, that is more than not ideal. That is like, you're not getting home. You're stuck on the side of the road for one, and you're tearing out some engine casing, cracking stuff, putting holes in, which is going to involve most likely a new engine, and no one wants that on their motorcycle, let alone their pretty new KLR650. They only just got released, so you know, your bike's pretty new. You don't want that at all. Okay, so that is it from me. If you have any questions about the KLR650, just ask. As I said, there are some concerns with this. That lower fairing gets damaged very easily. You need some crash protections. On the Adventure, you do have those basic crash bars, which will certainly help. you're probably still going to damage your fairing though, which is not ideal. I think necessary things on the KLR are handlebars. You need to replace them. You need some good handguards, and you need the skid plate. This other stuff can kind of be avoided, but this new fairing here, it's big and bulky, and it's very susceptible to damage. Like, you kind of need crash bars if you are riding off-road. They weigh about 5 kilos, so you're gaining 5 kilos on your bike, but it's worth it, I believe, especially for the style of bike the KLR is. It's more of a long distance off-road bike now. Don't get me wrong, it is capable, just, you know, has this kind of limitations, but you can gain that weight back by changing the exhaust as well, and that weight's up really high. So I'm trying to hit 5,000 subscribers, so if you haven't, make sure you hit the subscribe button and help me out. Also hit the like button if you like what I'm doing. And if you have any questions, shoot, I try and get back to everyone, whether it be on social media or YouTube. Just put a comment down below or send me a message and I'll get back to you. All right, everyone, keep it on the back wheel. Catches.